Hey, thanks for downloading and listening to this week's episode of West Box Score. I'm Alex Gonzalez, joined by D-Bot Donald Paz. What's up, dude?
Yo, what's going on, brother?
It's going good, man. We're about to dissect all the summer soccer that's been going on. Dude, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Ready to go.
I hope you listening, I hope you're ready. But before we get started, I got to ask you to please do us a favor, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, screenshot and tag us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at West Box Score. Our social links will also be in the show notes. So, D-Bot, we also have a good buddy, right? Sonny Hermano? What's he at?
Yeah, we got a good friend, Sonny Hermano, who's part of our show here, and you can follow him on Twitter and Instagram. He's at The Fox Crate, which is actually his other podcast that he hosts along with his cousin, Primo Rick.
Shouts out, Primo Rick!
Shout out to Primo Rick for sure. And, you know, it's one of those shows that, like, if I had to put it together, I would say it's a vinyl meets culture. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like would tell you in a nutshell what this show's about. But it's really good. A lot of great conversations about, you know, music, life, everything in between, man.
Very nice, very nice. And we also have a Discord group, man. Shouts out to everybody there. Big Money Matt Paz, Billy Delgado, Naham, Parker McDaniels, Brianna Flores, JV Ortiz, Rick Esparza, and Clipper Pablo. What is he doing on there? Who let him in there? Yeah. We just let anybody in there, don't we? Not everybody.
With 2 accounts.
It's an exclusive VIP group. You could only get in there with a Discord group link. That's in our show notes.
And also, do you love coffee? I don't know. Do you like coffee, Hal?
Dude, I freaking love coffee.
Yeah, right? It's so good. It gets you going in the morning.
For sure.
It's really good. And we got a coffee that we want you guys to check out. And that is Sailor's Brews Coffee. Sailor's Brews Coffee, man, they are a supporter of the show, man. And I would say that's definitely a place where motivation meets coffee, man. It's a local roastery here in Pasadena, California. They're focused on single origin Ethiopian coffees and luxury coffees such as Jamaican Blue Mountain. You know, they stand for positive motivation and are advocates for appreciating and experiencing coffee for how it's meant to be with no additives. This allows you to taste the coffee for what it is without outside or artificial influence. Our listeners get 10% off their first order using our code WBS10. That's WBS10 as in West Box Score and the number 10. We also have an affiliate link, which will also be in our show notes. If you click the link, you can put the code, you get 10% off your first order. The affiliate link helps us out. It helps the show out. So please check it out and get you a bag of some quality caffeine.
Nice. That's the way coffee is meant to be brewed. So definitely pick up some Sailor Brew coffee. The roast that I would recommend, I think, was a seasonal one. It's Mariner's Compass. That's what that one's. Light roast, hits you, smooth, bold tasting, not too overwhelming, but has a lot more caffeine. Little side note there. Pro tip from a real coffee drinker who loves that light roast. Get you more caffeine, get you going.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check out our media partners, Blue Wire Hustle. They're on Twitter at Blue Wire Hustle. If you're looking to start up a little pod, be sure to hit them up on Twitter. They'll help you out, get you going in the right direction. But if you're in the mood now to listen to a podcast, then guess what? It's time to get started with today's show. Yo, D-Bot, what's up, my man?
Yo, what's going on, Alex? How you been, brother?
I've been good, man. Just, spending some good time out with friends, out summertime, summer vibing as we are. You know what it is, D-Bot.
That heat wave, bro.
Dude, seriously, right? And since we are in the midst of summer and things are heating up outside, things have been heating up in the world of soccer, man. They have been entertaining, right? This Copa America, Euro Cup, and now Copa Oro is about to get started. Man, where do we begin today? We have to begin right with Copa America, right? Let's try to dissect this thing because there's a lot of soccer to talk about here, dude, right?
Yeah.
And I wish we had our man Sonny Hermano here, our other soccer head, who could tell us that's not how soccer works.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sonny Hermano, dude. But so D-Bot here and I will try to break it down for you somewhat. So Copa America, man, big final, right? Argentina, Brazil going right to the jugular because it was an entertaining Copa. But before we get to the final what was your takeaway going into this final? What were your thoughts of the tournament as a whole, like the way it was presented?
I mean, and obviously this tournament going into it, I I think a lot of people were looking forward to it because it was another sign from us as a society of things going back to normal. So
Yeah.
obviously, I think Argentina, I believe, was the original host country.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
And then there was a lot of controversy as to who was going to be the host because Argentina couldn't host it anymore because of a lot of COVID outbreaks. And then they decided to go with Brazil as the next host country. And then obviously Brazil also had some issues with COVID outbreaks. So they decided to just hold the tournament. And I mean, I was surprised to see that there were no fans because right now in the U.S., we're seeing fans everywhere. Most every sport you can think of, you're allowed to buy a ticket and attend it. So it was a little strange watching the Copa America play throughout with no fans. It just felt like March, like not even March 2020, but just felt like the MLS's back tournament all over again.
Yeah, in the bubble, right?
Yeah. So it just felt like a whole bubble thing. So that was a little interesting. But I mean, overall, I think that the final delivered. I felt that, even the final leading up to it, like the semis and stuff, obviously, how it is with these tournaments, bro. Like, it comes to the knockout stage. Like, we just want to see who gets eliminated. We want to see, like, again, this is where you wish you had the fans there because you see the fans get all nervous and you see them getting all, like, sweaty. So, yeah, man. But, yeah, overall, I thought the tournament was cool to have. It was cool to see. Obviously Messi was the story coming out of it,
right? And it's so funny as you say that we don't. The knockout stage is really where it's at. It's kind of like the United States gets crapped on always because you guys have a playoff system. What you have a whole regular season? Why would you have a playoff system? Like that's what these tournaments. That's what all these big cup tournaments are. Exciting. They have cool group stages that are condensed mini seasons. But then when you actually get to the quarterfinals, the knockout stages, that's where everybody gets super into it. I'm like, that's the playoffs. you're emulating a playoff system, and you give us all this crap for having the playoffs in the MLS and what have you, and in other sports that we have here in the United States. It's like, but yet you guys do the same thing. So, but to your point, yes, the quarterfinals, knockout stage is really where it got exciting. And man, all of them were exciting. You had two of them going into PKs, and that was a cool thing about the knockout stages in Copa America, right?
Yeah,
no extra times, straight to PKs.
Yeah, straight shootouts. Go for it.
That's the way it should be, man. The shootout, the OK Corral, like very Wild Wild West style.
Yeah,
and it is cool to see that, obviously, and then obviously everybody rooting. It was just interesting to see how dominant. We know Brazil's a dominant team. But when they're in their home country, even more so dominant. I believe the stat was something they hadn't lost a Copa America in Brazil in some odd years. I can't even remember.
I believe it was like over 70 or something like that.
Amazing statistic, dude. An amazing. So you going into this final, Argentina versus Brazil, it just had all the makings of, okay, it's going to be another Brazil win somehow, but everybody is kind of pulling for Messi to finally get that big cup, right?
Yeah.
Get the big trophy on the country level, right? So what was your feeling going into that final though?
I mean, I was hoping Argentina would really pull it out because of just all the implications that you mentioned. Messi finally being able to get that monkey off his back. I remember even when Diego Maradona, rest in peace, was alive, he was very critical of, I want to see, maybe he was critical of Messi in private, we don't know, but for sure in public, he was critical of the national team and was getting really bothered, especially when they got, with the result at Russia and everything. He, because the way Maradona saw it was like, I was able to deliver. You guys should be able to deliver. Like, obviously Messi is touted as the best player. And
the Maradona of our time, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for the most part, it's like, he's really the best for the Barcelona squad, but he hasn't really proven it in Argentina. So for as much as you want to say it, the fact of the matter is you got to win it. That's the bottom line. And I think for the most part, I know that it's kind of crazy to see that stat of Brazil not winning it, or like all of a sudden now there's like a broken record now that they lost it. But I kind of thought about it after a while, and I was like, man, in a weird way, the host team won it because this was supposed to take place in Argentina. So it was kind of interesting, but I don't know, man. I think going into it, it felt like the game could have been either team, honestly. It could have been either team, But I was hoping Argentina would pull it out.
D-Bot already putting the asterisks on this that the home team finally did find a way to win it here. But but to counter that, it's like there's no. Well, if Brazil would have kept their streak alive, they would have been happy with it. Because if you look at it now, the streak is broken. Yeah. So you have to look at it. It happened in Brazil, and an amazing win on the road. Still on the road, right? It's not even technical. It's like this is the way it was. This is the way it played out. Whether it be because of COVID and all the things that are going on there in South America, still with COVID still raging down there. So you have to give them it. You have to give them it. I mean, but that's why I was amazed to see, as we were talking about, the entire tournament was played in a bubble until they got to the final, and then there were some fans there. So it's like, are these like legit regular fans who were able to make the trek? They weren't family. I don't think they were friends of the players, like family and friends of the players. I think these were actual fans, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because even the way they placed them in that back corner that's away from the camera. So it's like you couldn't really see them unless like a goal was scored or something was happening in that corner of the game. You weren't really like. I mean, again, I think we saw this game together. Yeah. And it was interesting because it just felt like even in the beginning we were asking. Clipper Paulo was with us, and we were like, "Is the crowd noise piped in even for a final?" Like. At this point, we kind of know that there's no fans, right? Why would you pipe in crowd noise? Just play the game, Yeah. And no, like you saw glimpses of fans there, especially when the goal was scored, and you're like, oh wow! And you see all these Argentinian fans, and you see them wearing not only their national team jerseys, but they're wearing like their local club jerseys. I saw some Boca Junior jerseys, some River Plate jerseys, and you're just like, wait a minute, like. They allowed like people to come in the stadium. Right, that's crazy. Yeah. It didn't look like people were wearing their mask either, so it was insane. I wonder what the rules were at the end.
Must have had to sign some crazy waiver that when you catch coronavirus, you will not sue us or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
How to hold us liable whatsoever. And I remember you saying that during our hang. And I remember thinking, well, it's Fox, so I'm sure they're piping in all the crowd noise. And when I saw the fans from that angle, I'm like, oh, that must be the CGI fans that they put
that's right.
on some of the games, right?
Baseball.
Yeah, and it's like, there's no way there's really fans there. And it's like, well, wow, there is.
Yeah, jeez, that's crazy. The only thing I could think of is what if that was the vaccinated section?
But then I don't know. Vaccines are hard to come by down in South America. I was going
to just say that right now. I don't know how it is. I know in third world countries it's not as easily as it is here. Like here we have the option to complain that we don't want it. Over there, I think they would love to have it because there's not so many.
That's not crazy. Yeah, you have a bunch of people denying vaccines when people see that as other people in other countries see that as the life that they need, like a second chance at freedom, or as to take their health into their own hands for once.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It's so odd, man. It's so odd how fortunate we are here to live in the United States for that reason, and just try to take care of yourselves, man, for sure. So that game, 1-0, Messi finally does it. Yeah, it's so amazing to see it happen. Live and in person or on Fox as we all did together.
Yeah.
And it really feels historic, right? Like what does this mean now for Messi's legacy in your opinion?
I think he finally won a title for the national team. And I think this might be the closest thing unless a new generation steps up under that while he's still there. I think this will be as close as it'll get for him in terms of a title for the national team. Right. And then by that I mean the World Cup. Like I don't think the World Cup is really in their grasp. Given that like the team was pretty good to take out, to beat Brazil. But man, I know we're gonna get to the Euros soon, but the Euros look like a different animal when you talk about those squads. And I think Argentina. Same with Brazil, like there's a bit of that transition where some of those guys are a little too old, to be there. And I think they're good around their own regions, but I think worldwide it's a different story.
Yeah, that's very true. In comparing these cups that are going on right now, Copa America, the Euro Cup, and now the Gold Cup that just got started, it's 3 different levels, 3 different stages of skill, and one is very glaring. The other 2 maybe not a little bit closer. The styles are obviously different between the South American play and the European play. But when you look at the North American play, it's very stark difference, which we'll get to in a little bit. So congratulations to Messi, the GOAT. Give him props.
Yep.
He's finally come through for his country.
That's
Argentina,
awesome,
stand up. Good for you guys, man. Congratulations to Messi and the whole country of Argentina. So moving on now to the Euro 2021, 2021. Exciting matchup to see all these teams on display, all these European countries just getting after it, and the way they're grouped. First off, that I realized as a newer soccer fan that there's only 4 groups for Copa America, right?
Yeah.
There was only 2 groups for Copa America, but there were 6 groups for the Euro Cup. So right away that just shows you that it's a bigger playing field, and how much bigger and how many countries are in Europe that are just skilled in soccer. So it's and obviously I thought too, I would have loved to have Sonny on to ask him this. Is that normal to only have 2 groups in the Copa America? I actually don't know the answer to that. So it's only 2 groups. It just shows you the level of competition in Europe. Hands in it could be its own World Cup at some point.
Yeah,
right. It's pretty amazing to say how really Europe is the home of soccer.
Yeah, so, and I think it's all because it's a bigger region. Similar to the CONCACAF. If you think about it, like we have to include the Caribbean teams onto the CONCACAF, and sometimes you get these little islands that you never heard of, but somehow they qualified, and you're like, they're in the U.S. group. That's interesting. I didn't even know that country was a country. But yeah, I think in the Euros it's the same thing. There's like certain countries that were in the early stages of it where I was like, oh, I didn't know that was like, I didn't know they I didn't know they were there, and I didn't know that they were part of the UEFA. I thought they were in a different thing, but yeah.
Right? I feel like that was more Asia. That was like way Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
But I know the way deep, but I was setting this up for the Euros is the home of soccer. It's coming home. That's where I was going for, to throw some salt in the wound of Pangland.
Yeah,
is what they're called. What I saw on Twitter.
What are your thoughts on the "It's coming home"?
I have some thoughts about England and "It's coming home." I don't like it. It feels very. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm hypersensitive to the age of Trump now and nationalism. That whenever I see that, I'm like, oh, that's borderline racist, dude. What do you mean it's coming home? You guys don't own football. Football's for the entire world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I once again, I think I'm just being hypersensitive to it, but I just thought it was corny and cheesy at the end of the day too. Like, it's not coming home. Soccer's not yours. It's for the world.
Yeah.
So get out of here with that. I hope you lose. And so when they were in the final, I was rooting very heavily for Italy. And we'll get into that game as a whole, why I was conflicted at some points. But going into that final, what did you think of that Euro as like a whole, the tournament, the way it was played?
I thought that it was the final in itself was pretty amazing to watch. Comparing, so like Brazil Argentina was very physical in terms of like that felt like a rivalry. I mean, I forgot which player from Argentina had a bloodied like leg where the sock was all red, and they were just really tackling each other. The refs weren't really calling anything because I think they realized like, oh wow, these guys want to like kill each other. Let's let them do it. It makes it more exciting. And then like in this Euro final, obviously Italy and England, I don't think have that kind of beef. But man, you got to see 2 styles go at each other that you could tell like it definitely was a lot cleaner to look at. Like you know, the passing, the playmaking, everything was just a little bit different. I think maybe towards the end is where I started getting a little bit testy and a little bit rough, you know, because I think both teams were trying to figure out how to score to the other team, so that way they could just kind of finish them off and end the game. And they never they never did. And I think the England goal by Luke Shaw, it happened in the 2nd minute, which is really early. I just feel like if you don't score,
that's
like
to United.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't score another one or like, you know, by halftime, then 1-0 just becomes like a trap lead. You know what I mean? At halftime. So
yeah, it's the trap lead. Yeah, it's very true. I think you pointed out on our group chat that when you score early, it's a real detriment to your team and to your, you know, it's just kind of like you say, a trap. So, overall, I thought this Euro tournament, though, before we get into the like dissecting more of the final, it's just a showcase of all these skilled clubs. And early on, the way it was set up with the with tragedy, right? It's really interesting. The Denmark player that went down
Christian
early on, Eriksen. So yes, Eriksen. And just that was like what, on day 2 or day 1 of the tournament?
Yeah, it was like the day after. Because the first game was Italy versus, I forgot who they played, but they played Italy versus some other team, and Italy really showed out. And you're like, oh wow, maybe Italy is a team, you know? But yeah, it was the second day when Denmark played. Yeah.
And that was very and that, I remember hearing about it first in our group chat, and like, oh, that's right, the Euros finally got underway, and like, oh wow, it's gotten off on such a bummer. Like, it's such a scary scene out there on the pitch.
Yeah.
So like, you just watch the rest of the match group stages play out, and then once we get into rounds of 16s, do we really get invested as football fans and just seeing some upsets early on, right? Like minor upsets, but when you see Belgium go over Portugal, you kind of like, oh wow, Ronaldo's out.
Yeah,
like,
that
right?
was big.
Like Belgium's no sleeper. No easy win whatsoever.
No,
but it's just like, but you expect the star players to kind of go through somehow.
Yeah, especially because obviously Ronaldo's like, up there. He's like God level. But then you got all these other guys that Portugal has that are pretty good too, right? Including your boy Bruno Fernandes.
That's right, the Portuguese goat. Yeah, just totally discount the Ronaldo we were just talking about.
Yeah,
that's right.
And but Belgium at the same time too. I forgot that Belgium had like some guys like Lukaku and the Hazard brothers, Eden and Thorgan, and you're like, oh damn, that's right, like. All of these players that we kind of know in the big clubs that they play for locally, you're like, oh wow, they're from these countries, which is
Kevin De Bruyne, dude. And De Bruyne is also.
Oh, that's right, and De Bruyne too. That's right. See, so there's like a lot. There's a lot you can pick at. That's the only thing with the Copa America you couldn't do that. Like I think Sanchez and all these guys, some of the Chile players and all that. Like they're guys that are kind of already past their prime. So it just felt like watching a bunch of guys in their past their prime try to do the tournament. And then in the Euros, it was different. You saw like the guys that are in their prime, guys that are a little younger, and then you got those like Ronaldo who are there to,
And then of course you had the instant classic between France and Switzerland.
Yeah.
That just was an unbelievable freaking match, man. You saw that entire one. What were some of where that one went back and forth, ended up being tied 3-3?
Yeah, it did. And man, that was crazy, especially because France. It's France. It's I think they were the favorites to win this whole thing from the beginning because of how deep their roster is. Like almost their whole starting lineup plays for like not a Premier League team. They play for a Champions League type of team. So it just felt like, oh, this team is going to steamroll, a lot of these guys. So you kind of expected it to be that. And it was tied 3-3. They went to penalties and they were making every single one up until the last one, which was a bummer because the guy who missed it was arguably probably their best player, and that was Kylian Mbappe. And once he missed it, it was like, whoa, that was kind of like, it was almost unreal that it happened. Like it was like, is this like the Twilight Zone? Like everyone made it except Mbappe. So it was insane. But props to Switzerland, man. They showed out, man, and I think that was great to see that. Yeah,
really amazing Euros going into just like. Going through the knockout rounds, and just what did you make of England beating Germany though? In that round of 16, like that was more of an upset than anything else too in those round of 16s, right?
Yeah, it was because Germany is always in it. Germany always for some reason, they're supposed to be in it, given that they won. I mean, they won the World Cup like maybe one or two. I forgot which one they won. They won like two World Cups.
2014,
2014, and then like you thought like okay, and then you see Bayern win the I keep calling it the Premier League. It's not the Premier League. It's the Champions League.
Champions League, yeah.
They just won it, and it always feels like, well, Germany just happens to have these players that like. Are not the most famous players. Like they're not out there doing a bunch of marketing and endorsements and stuff. But when it comes to playing on the pitch, they really do their job. And Germany's supposed to be like another powerhouse for Europe. But England coming in, obviously there was something about this English squad from like into the knockout stage where it felt like, oh shoot, like I think it felt like they believed in themselves. They really believed in themselves a lot. And you look at the players that England has, like like Sterling and Kane and Maguire and Pickford as their goalkeeper, and you're just like, man, like these are all players people know. Like these are all players like that, like people buy jerseys of in those local clubs. So man, it was insane. But yeah, it was good to see that like England did that. It was definitely surprising to see Germany look like that. But man, I don't know what's going on with Germany. Maybe they're going through a transition too.
They must be, because I didn't see Ter Stegen wasn't in the lineup keeping for them. So
I think Germany's definitely one of the more older teams now. I can't think of a German player that's young and upcoming and really exciting outside. I really can't think of anybody. But I can name you some of the guys from England, like Jadon Sancho, Raheem Sterling, like it's just there's guys that you could tell there's a difference. Like there's like a turning, of the guard and all that. So
yeah, just amazing to go the way they went through. It seemed very Cinderella-esque for Germany. So that's why the whole "it's coming home" thing, I guess, was funny until it wasn't funny, where they actually made it to the final. Yeah. So I'm like, oh wait, no, I really don't want it to go there. So, and I think you said you've heard certain journalists in England, right, say as much.
Yeah,
it wasn't meant.
So the Athletics podcast, The Lead, did do a episode about this song. It's called I forgot the name of the song called. It's not called "It's Coming Home," but apparently in the hook, there's a line where the guy says "It's coming home," and that's what became the slogan that all the English people took. And for the most part, like that's what they kept using as the slogan, even though the song, it's supposed to be like the song's kind of self-deprecating, if anything. But I think English people really felt like, well, let's just take that line, "It's coming home." According to this guy from The Athletic, who happens to be British, he says that like it's supposed to be like a joke, like a meme, like we're memeing ourselves. So yeah, we say "it's coming home," but you shouldn't feel that offended, because we don't really believe it's coming home. We just like to say it as like when you're trying to be funny, but like to make yourself feel better about it or something. Which I don't know. I think that's up for interpretation.
I think so, man. As sports fans, I think we could always kind of. I think the closest thing we could probably see it or get close to it as Dodgers fans, right? Wait till next year. Wait till next year, right? That was always kind of our tagline, right? And we always meant it as a joke, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't really think we're gonna win it next year until we actually did, and then I don't think anybody ever really referenced it. I never saw any Dodger gear that said "this is next year." Because that would have been the thing to market, right?
That's true.
But so I don't know. I just don't buy it. I feel there's a hint of arrogance there, and I don't think you would say that unless you're already either. Definitely, the wait till next year wasn't being used in the playoffs, right?
No.
So like,
and I think because I think for the most part, like Dodger fans were just at this point. I know for sure a lot of Dodger fans were like, well, I probably just won't watch the Dodgers period if they don't win it in this the last World Series, because it's already been like too many times to see them lose it out. Like I don't even want to watch them anymore and stuff. And then they did it. So I don't know. I think that's what people were more focused on the whole like, I'm gonna watch them. I'm not gonna say anything. But if they lose, I'm not gonna watch them next season at all. I'm just gonna give up on the Dodgers period. Why hope that they're gonna do it when they're never gonna do it? And I think that's why it overtook the whole idea of like, oh, let's use this like funny slogan type of thing. Right. At least that's the feedback I was getting from a lot of people that I talked to, was like, at this point, they're like, oh, are you excited they're in the World Series? Yeah, but they better win it, man. I mean, it's not like, it kind of felt weird. Like, it was very, like, lukewarm. Like, this lukewarm feeling of, like, yeah, we're in the World Series again. Like, let's see. Like, and I think that, people buying the hats and all that, and it felt weird. And I think that's why people couldn't make a meme out of it anymore for themselves to make themselves feel. I wonder if this is what Philadelphia had to go through with the basketball team, with the process, trust the process, remember, in the beginning, and then they trust the process, and then it became kind of a meme, right? And now it's no longer a meme because they lost again, and it's like, do you still want to talk about trusting the process? And they now get pissed because now it's like it's gone over too much to the point where it's annoying to them, even though they thought that it was funny to say it at the beginning.
Interesting. This is going to be interesting to see if they try to use "that's coming home" again.
Yeah.
like in the knockout stages and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff next time, because it kind of seemed funny and fitting for this because they really thought they had a chance. Especially, I don't remember them even saying this until after they beat Germany.
Yeah.
I think
that's
that's where they started to hashtag believe, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they didn't start this during the group stage. Not that I remember.
No.
Or maybe it was
No, I
out
don't.
there in the small rumblings. But one of the English fans I saw on Twitter was hilarious. He's like, "It's still coming home. We just didn't say when." The Royal Post is notorious for being late, but we have a new estimated day delivery, 2022.
Oh shoot. That's crazy, dude.
So it seems like they're gonna try to double down on it. All right.
Yeah,
It seems like,
yeah.
which I can respect the hell out of.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to double down on it, whatever. If you use it from the beginning, maybe I'll be less irked by your douchiness on it
Yeah.
because it just had a bit of a pompousness.
Yeah,
to
it did.
right?
It did. It did.
So-
And I think it's crazy. What did you think of that so-called penalty on
The Denmark England
Yeah.
game, right?
a lot of
that
people
wasn't
feel
a
like
penalty.
Denmark got screwed on that.
I think so too. And okay, on the penalty, yes, and also I think as we mentioned, the penalty kick itself being stopped.
Oh,
And
that's right.
then being scored on the rebound.
Yeah.
And which I get, Sonny, that's how soccer works. But it just has an unfairness to it.
No, it does.
Now, this is me saying this as somebody who was rooting against England in that
Yeah.
semifinal. So maybe had this been like Chicha in a playoff game against,
course.
LAFC, taking the PK, it's like, well, it's a live ball. The ball's still on. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It just feels like it would be a good universal rule going forward to just say like PKs, once the keeper has stopped it, then it's a dead ball, right? I think you said as
it's a
much
goal
too, right,
kick.
T-Bot?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I know that's not the rule, but I feel that's more fair because that's not cool, dude. Like in basketball, when you shoot the free throw, if you miss it because you're the farthest player behind the line, like in terms of the free throw shoot, the opportunity of you getting the rebound and putting it back in is a lot harder than than your teammates who are right there to the basket, ready to get your rebound. So then it feels like there's a 50-50 chance that your teammate might be able to rebound it and put it back in, or the other team grabs it and now they have possession. And it feels very 50-50. Whereas in this one, it felt like I didn't like that. I didn't like that Harry Kane misses it and he's the first one there. Like they should at least let a defender be at the pole or close to the pole to rush in case something like that were to happen so that they could clear the ball. Like kind of make it 50-50, man. Like it just doesn't feel like it's fair. But again, that's just me. And that's just because of what happened. So yeah.
Because of our right. And but I think, were you also rooting against England in this match?
Yeah, I felt like
we're both a little biased on
I
it.
felt
though.
like Denmark put up such a good fight that they definitely deserve to at least go all the way into like the extra time and PKs and all that. You know?
I agree. And I like where your head's at about like the free throw. I see PKs happening now where I want the players all next aligned around the row like a free kick.
Yeah.
Inside going into the penalty area.
Yeah.
So I want them lined up, one alternating players, from each team, just all along the goalpost.
Yeah.
Just going out toward the kicker, off to the side though, as he kicks it. So okay, it is going to be a live ball, but everybody's here. So in case it gets, unless it gets shanked out, if that ball ricochets out, it's a free ball, and you better hope your defender gets to it first.
Yep.
I like it, D-Bot. Let's go. Awesome. We're on to something here.
Yeah, man. And then more Americans will watch it.
Americanized soccer. What's next? They're gonna have a running penalty kick.
Yeah.
MLS 96. I'm looking at you. Oh man. But so of course this match is this final delivers, right? Italy versus England.
Yeah.
Like you said, Shaw scored 2 minutes in. England thinks they're taking it. Halftime happens, and of course, the dreaded halftime always kills momentum of the team leading, seems like, because the losing team finds a way to make adjustments if they're good. And Italy ties it 67th minute, man. I wasn't expecting Italy to even tie it, man, because they just looked all England all the time in this game. So it was really impressive to see how good England played on, in Wembley. All that crowd support behind them. Italy, you would have thought were the devil incarnated themselves because they were just getting booed mercifully.
Yeah.
And just everything England did cheered. Every time a shot went over the net, you'd hear that that sarcastic cheer. So it was just so funny to watch as a neutral, right? Because if England would have won, cool, it's home, the cup's home, whatever. I really don't care. But so as neutral as I could be, right, rooting against them somewhat, it was just impressive to watch. And then the extra time happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing at the end of extra time that I found the most funny were the attempted late subs for Sancho and Rashford with like a minute to go. And like, are they going to get these subs in on time?
Yeah.
That was funny to see. And they're only brought in to sub for the PKs, right?
Yeah.
And I love the way they had Rashford playing right back. Like, dude, this guy's a midfielder. This is
I didn't even
setting
pay
you up for
attention to
failure.
that part.
Oh yeah, I caught all those little things.
Yeah, my head was just like, oh, they're gonna go to PK soon. Like, let's just blow the
right,
whistle.
because there's like less than a minute to go, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like that. But like, you're not there yet, though. You're not there yet.
You're
And
not.
anything can happen. Anything can happen. And sure enough, they do go to PKs. And an impressive round of PKs. Just impressive to see the goalies coming through, the shots, going, just being overthought, right? When Rashford came up, man, he came in a vital spot. And that's my boy from Manchester United. I'm rooting for him, but I also was hoping that England would lose. When he came up was the only time I'm like, all right, I need you to bury this one, Rashford. Come on. And when he hit the post the way he did, it's like you overthought that shot and you got bit. It's like he's as clutch as it can be sometimes with United. He's, I've watched him a lot, especially when he gets clean breaks. He will beat goaltenders one-on-one. So it's just on that PK, I just knew he could do it. But when I saw him not do it, I felt such heartbreak for him, man. Such heartbreak for him.
That was tough. That's how I felt with Sancho too. Him being a Dortmund dude. I was like, and you know what? I felt like he was gonna make it. I really felt like, oh, you got this, dude. You're so good at this stuff. Like in terms of like you have this swagger about you when you were at Dortmund, especially not last season. He was kind of like he was okay. I think he already was checked out, from the club, but definitely the season
one
before.
foot out the door.
Yeah, so it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, yeah, he got it, but then when he missed it, I was like, oh man, I feel bad for you now, dude. Like I feel like I could see this is gonna be tough for you because this is your country and stuff, and you're about to make the move to live there and stuff. Like you felt like this would have been a great kind of like welcome, welcome to England moment for you.
Welcome home.
You know what I mean? Welcome home moment for sure. And then I was feeling it for Sancho for sure on that one.
Yeah, but big ups to the Italian goalkeeper, man. He really won that game for him with big saves. Donnarumma, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's but the new PSG goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had ice in his veins, man. Yep. Big stops. I mean, as much as we are, saying that Sancho blew it, Rashford blew it, man, you got to give props to the Italian goalkeeper for this, man, because he won them the cup. When he gets to PKs, man, you obviously have to have ice in your veins on both sides of it.
For sure.
And it's amazing to watch.
And if there's one thing I learned over the weekend playing FIFA 21 is that PSG is probably the highest rated team on that thing.
That's right. Congrats to Italy for winning the Euro Cup 2020, and congrats to Clipper Pablo for winning the Copa de FIFA 2021. He beat myself. He beat D-Bot. He beat Rick Esparza from the Lucha Royale podcast that we do. He beat Sonny Hermano, of course. He beat Sonny Hermano in the final. And then, of course, big shouts out to Rich Garcia, LAFC's own Rich Garcia.
We're going to have him soon on the
LAFC
pod.
guy. Yeah, soon. Friend of the pod, soon to be on the pod, Rich Garcia. And so Sonny Hermano in the final against Clipper Pablo, but Clipper Pablo back to back.
Yeah.
Copa de FIFA champion, man. All with Barca, by the way.
Like, he has his own thing. He has it down. I'm like, come on.
I in one of my group stage matches against him, we did Peru versus Mexico, and he was able to take that one.
Oh wow!
In a close 3-2 match, a 3-2 final. But that's a whole nother debate between me and Clipper Pablo because the Gold Cup going on and the Copa America just ending, where I said Mexico would be able to beat Peru in any of these tournament matches, but obviously we may never happen.
Yeah.
So he's like, there's no way Peru's losing to Mexico. Those were his words. Peru
That's true.
is
He
head
did
and
say
shoulders
that.
above Mexico. And like, that's, how can you say that?
Yeah.
How can you possibly say it? Like I just did. So he's Clipper Pablo being Clipper Pablo there is antagonizing. And I'm sure he's got some valid points. We got to get him on the cast one day to make those points between Peru versus Mexico. So once again, big congratulations to Italy. And before we go, we got to talk about what is going on right now, which just got started, which is the Gold Cup. The North American side of soccer. After two great tournaments, we get the Gold Cup now here in North America. And it's really always, and Clipper Paulo made a great point. It's pretty much a big tournament to see who eventually getting the USA Mexico final. And yes, I'm sure it is. It is. But this year, I don't know. It was a rough opening match, Mexico versus Trinidad and Tobago. And the reason for that is because of what happened to Chucky Lozano early on. I believe 10 minutes in, not even 10 minutes into the match, goes into, it was 18 minutes into the match, and just colliding headfirst with the goalkeeper's legs and the next, and Lozano's neck snapping back, obviously, and knocked out on the pitch. He's concussed. He's fine now, though. He's sent a message out to Mexico fans saying that he's going to get better, that he's going to fight as hard as he can. He thanks for everyone for all their love and support. So, like I said, prayers to Chucky Lozano that he gets a full, clean bill of health and recovers 100%. Obviously, though, going to be out for the rest of this Gold Cup without question. Yeah. So, in the 18th minute, off the injury, substitution happens. And who comes on for Chucky? Efrain Alvarez. Yeah. Can you believe it? Little Ifra. Yeah. Galaxy's own, man. And so he gave that spark of offense that Mexico needed, right? No. No. 0-0 draw, Mexico versus Trinidad and Tobago. So now as we look at Group A, because that's the group Mexico's in with El Salvador and Guatemala. El Salvador took out Guatemala 2-0, bro. Yeah. So is this El Salvador's cup to win, Donald?
I don't think so, but I'm hoping it's their group to win. Oh, man. I saw the highlights for the Salvador game. It was cool seeing them make the 2 goals, and I was like, oh, nice. Take it to Guatemala. That was awesome. I love that.
It's cool, man. And now it's like, is it really anybody's tournament now? A really, really depleted Mexico team. Offensively, at least for sure. But I mean, that's where I joked and like started to call up Chicha.
Yeah.
I don't know if they allow for subs to come even on like this, but I doubt it. But it's just a funny thought to think of, right?
But like you said, shout out to the Italian goalkeeper. Shout out to that Trinidad and Tobago goalkeeper, because he definitely was saving them so much that he even started to like kind of limp a little bit and stuff. Like it was like, dang, like he was getting worn out.
Yeah, Marvin Phillip, Trinidad and Tobago goalkeeper. So yeah, shout out to him, keeping a point for Trinidad and Tobago. So
30
early
shots
on,
to 4 shots.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, Mexico 30 shots and 4 shots by Trinidad.
Jesus Christ, that's why they were celebrating in the locker room like a win. Like how can you not?
It did feel like that, right? I thought that so too when the game ended. I was like, oh wow, this totally feels like a win for Trinidad. But it's insane, man. We'll see what happens.
Maybe it's Trinidad's group to win. Shoot, you gotta look. I mean, seriously, man. I don't know.
You never
know. If there's anything I learned from the Euros and from the Copa Americas, is just anything can happen.
Exactly.
Right? These tournaments, you never know. If there's anything I know from Copa de FIFA where Pablo wins twice, anything can happen. Anything can freaking happen in soccer, and that's why we watch it. It's awesome. So honestly, early on, and also USA is in Group B.
Yeah.
USA took care of business against Haiti. How about our boy Sebastian Lletget, the boy, rocking the captain's armband for Team USA?
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
I mean,
he's definitely doing. I think obviously he plays into both the B squad and the A squad. So if there's anybody that's gonna be like the best player, quote unquote, of the B squad, it would be probably him, most likely. But yeah, it was cool seeing them do that. I mean, again, these are products of the LA Galaxy. So,
So we shout them out for sure. And without leaving out LAFC, I have to double check, but I heard, yes, no, that is not true. I thought K scored for Canada. I could have sworn I saw that on Twitter. Double checking right now. Canada did take care of business against Martinique.
Yeah. Again, one of those Caribbean countries you didn't realize, oh, wow, they're part of the CONCACAF.
Right. But no, I believe Mark Anthony K was in the lineup. Yes, he was. Yeah. And in playing the way he does, got a yellow card in that match.
Ooh.
Because of course he did. He's a dirty player. So that's what you expect from him, an LAFC representative there on Team Canada. Getting it done 4-1 in that matchup. So early on in the Gold Cup, we will definitely have to bring more Gold Cup coverage once we get to where we love the cups the most, in the knockout stages. That's when we watch it. And we're gonna have to knock out for the rest of this episode. That's it for us this week. D-Bot, thanks again. The rest of you guys, see ya
later.